welcome to another exciting episode of Game, where we sit here and talk about gaming, arts, movies, electronics, and pretty much anything else that you can think of. It's gonna be all kinds of fun today. I'm gonna encourage you guys right now, email us, gameshowchat@gmail.com. Hit us up on the Twitter feed if you want to be part of the conversation. I guarantee you we're gonna have a lot of fun today. Today we're gonna be talking about who has the best rogues gallery of villains. I mean, you got all sorts of crazy guys out here trying to beat up these superheroes, and we're just gonna have a lot of fun today. Right here, I got my main man GQ sitting on this. We got Mega Sean here, and we're just gonna sit here and just see what kind of craziness we can bring up. So, gentlemen, game on.
All right, well, let me start off on this one because the term Rogues Gallery of Villains is already associated with and is synonymous with Batman. Batman has got the Joker, Bane, Harley Quinn, Two-Face, Riddler. I could sit here for about another 5 minutes naming off all 60 some odd characters that are in his Rogues Gallery of Villains. And he has, Joker is already at the top of the list of best villains of all time. Sure. So if you got the Man as your arch nemesis, who else is there? I mean, what other heroes can really stand up to that?
Well, I really can't debate or, that point in regards to Batman because it's true. But I did do some digging. I went from, Marvel and some of their characters, and I went to DC, some of their characters, and I really wasn't feeling it. But then I was trying to avoid one, but I went and I had to go back to the Kryptonian. Okay. If you look at Superman, there's Lex Luthor, there's Doomsday, there's Darkseid. I don't even want to say his name too loud. There's Darkseid, and then you also have Metallo, and then one of the toughest villains around, Brainiac. And I definitely think they would match up. That's a pretty good wallop. Obviously, Lex and the Joker have teamed up, but everybody seems to fear Brainiac. Now, granted, Superman is an alien and not a man full of wonderful toys, so obviously his level of strength is gonna be able to supersede Batman. So, obviously he would need tougher villains for that. Obviously, if you have world destroyers fighting a rich guy, it really is not gonna work out. But I would still, that's the only guy who I could see.
But even that rich guy he didn't go toe to toe, so to speak, but he even got kind of the better of Darkseid a couple of times. And this is a man, regular old man that went in there. He's not quite regular, but
really, Batman's just a rich guy with daddy issues. I mean, and there's nothing scarier than rich people with issues, especially
mommy and daddy issues. Actually, I mean, his parents were killed in front of him. So I mean, and again, we all know the story. Thank you very much, Christopher Nolan, for going over that story again.
Way too often.
And every other director that's got a hold of Batman and going over that story again. But I'm getting off topic here, but Batman has dealt with pretty much every psychosis you can think of. He has dealt with the Joker, who is just bat guano crazy. He has dealt with Two-Face, who is the ultimate split personality character. I mean, he has dealt with the Riddler, Riddler's crazy. Completely crazy. He's dealt with Victor Zsasz. Victor Zsasz was almost too real for a comic book audience, and he was just a murderer. So I mean, Batman has dealt with people that are they're not just a little bit power hungry. Right. They're not just a little bit have an issue where they want to take over the world. These people are just crazy because they're crazy. Okay. So, and I think that, something like that. And I think the other thing that makes it scary is some of these, schizophrenias and all this is real stuff that we're dealing with. These are real disorders. Yeah, they're taken to the extreme. And, these people are dressing up in costumes and doing whatever they're doing. But there are people out there that are schizophrenic. There are people out there that have, multiple personalities and all that other sort of problems.
And there's also clowns who go around and kill everybody. So
I don't like clowns anyway.
Yeah. I mean, now in all fairness, in staying open, I'm a huge Batman fan, and honestly, Batman's villains to me have always been just a little more real than everybody else. I mean, and from the way it sounds for you guys, I mean, you guys really jumped headfirst into DC, and I really think DC is a little more realistic. Yeah. I mean, but you can bring it back around to guys like Wolverine. I mean, Sabretooth's a really mean character. I mean, along that range. You can even say Professor X probably has the best one because not only does he have to fight Magneto, but then everybody else that goes around him in that aspect too. True. Could you bring in the Fantastic Four? I mean, you're dealing with Galactus and Doctor Doom.
Yeah.
I mean, Doctor Doom has his own freaking continent, and you never really quite know if it's him or some Doombot on the side there.
But I think the issue with that, though, when you bring in some of those, those various teams that are fighting, singular characters, like a Fantastic Four dealing with Doom. Now, of course, Doom transcends just Fantastic Four. He can be an enemy for the Avengers. He can be an enemy to the X-Men. He's kind of, he's not quite Darkseid, obviously, and who is, but he's not Thanos or anything like, but he is a serious threat, even though he's one person. I think when I think of a rogues gallery, though, I think of like not just one person or maybe a couple people. I think of, they got just
tons of enemies.
If these people teamed up, this person's gone. They're done. The only other person that I think has, as far as numbers, as far as a rogues gallery goes, might be Spider-Man. Spider-Man might be the only other character. He doesn't have as many villains as Batman.
Yeah,
Batman's been around forever.
But his villains are also some really off-the-wall goofball deals. I mean, look, a guy who comes at me and he's full of sand. He's a sandman. I throw a bucket of water at him. I got a guy called like Hydro Man. He's a big thing of water. I throw him in a 35-degree room and let him, kind of start to freeze a little bit.
Throw a towel at him.
Exactly. Throw a ShamWow at him, guys. It'll soak it right up. It'll be great.
Yeah, you got that. What was that one guy? The guy with the globe on his head. Like
Mysterio.
It's like I understand Spider-Man is a child in New York City, and for the most part, he's catching these people. Like, okay, the Joker, Sinister. There are going to be serious lives at stake, whether it's some form of nerve gas.
Right.
You look at I won't even say. We'll say Lex Luthor. His is more on a corporate level of sabotage, but lives are at stake. And then you go to Spider-Man. They were robbing the liquor store or some bank, and he happens to swing down. So yes, if Leroy the Thug is going to be somebody who you have to deal with on a regular basis, then by all means, because isn't he one of the guys who's one of his villains has a crowbar? A crowbar.
Hey, look, have you been hit with a crowbar? That stuff hurts, I'm telling you.
Yes, but a crowbar, Batman would chuckle at a crowbar. Superman would just melt it down, and then the guy's like, oh, well, maybe I won't rob 7-Eleven today.
It's a magical crowbar.
The word magic crowbar just says it all for that guy.
Again, I mean, when you're dealing with issues as far as, the realism of characters, I mean, DC for the longest time, I think at least, makes it a little more real, makes it a little more sinister. Part of the reason I always liked the DC characters was that they were always a little more just tangible. It wasn't so goofballish. I mean, yeah, you had some, funny cartoons and you had some, really kind of cartoony, weird costume concepts. But I mean, let's face it. I mean, you're dealing with a terrible, evil politician who wants to take over the world. And then you're dealing with like a clown like Jeffrey Dahmer who just says, I just don't care and want to kill everybody just because it's fun. So,
well, I mean, looking at the Joker, I mean, we all remember it. Do guests get to keep these? I mean, we couldn't let the Joker on this set right now because all three of us would probably be dead because this man took. I mean, you look at the Dark Knight Returns animated show but animated movie that they did. I mean, that was one of my favorite scenes. I mean, it's a little bit twisted, but it was a great scene. It was out of the blue.
Yeah.
That's what the Joker's unpredictable. I mean, he's crazy, beyond crazy.
And I think that the best thing is what really makes a great villain and a great set of villains is somebody who can go toe to toe with somebody. I mean, the biggest knock on Superman is that he was always going to be powerful and always going to win. When you brought in somebody like Brainiac who could just really kind of go toe to toe with him, or bring in Darkseid, it made it a little more real. Same thing with Batman. You're dealing with the Joker, and you're even dealing with Catwoman to an extent. Somebody who can go toe to toe with you.
Right.
So I mean, it's really a toss up. I've always been partial to Batman, and I think I always will be. But that's just me. We could sit here and argue this until we're blue in the face. So, guys, thank you so much for coming in today. You guys at home, look, join in the conversation. I mean, chances are you probably don't agree with it. You probably just think we're all nuts to begin with. So please hit us up on Twitter at Game Show Chat. Please email us at gameshowchat@gmail.com. Please let us know what's going on. Let us know what you want to hear. Let us know who you think are the best villains around, and we're just gonna have all kinds of fun. So until next time, guys, let's keep it real. Let's have fun with things. You know what? Quarters are up. My guy's dead. Game over.